Well, something happened behind closed doors in Washington, D.C. Something so serious that even top officials who read it reportedly went pale as a ghost when they saw what it contained. And not because of politics or some kind of partisan drama, no, but because of a newly leaked national security brief that lays out scenarios so chilling that even America's leading officials had to take a breath before turning the next page. And here's the kicker. What's inside is absolutely chilling. So what exactly did they find in this report? Well, how about the fact that it warns of conflict with China? And if it were to break out, well, United States may not be sitting in the most, quote, prettiest of places. Take a look at where I found it, and this is on thetelegraph.com. China would destroy United States military in a fight over Taiwan, top secret documents warn. It goes on. China would defeat the United States military in a war over Taiwan, according to a top secret U.S. government assessment. U.S. reliance on costly, sophisticated weapons leaves it exposed to China's ability to mass produce cheaper systems in overwhelming numbers, the highly classified overmatch brief warns. A national security official under Joe Biden who reviewed the document is said to have turned pale on realizing Beijing had redundancy after redundancy for every trick we had up our sleeve, the New York Times reported. Losing Taiwan, the U.S.'s key bulwark against Chinese power in the Western Pacific, would deliver a severe strategic and symbolic blow to Washington. It goes on that Hegseth has even brought up information on this. Last year, Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, said that we lose every time in the Pentagon's war games against China and predicted the Asian country's hypersonic missiles could destroy the aircraft carrier within minutes. Jake Sullivan, the former NA advisor, said that he warned the U.S. could quickly run out of essential munitions like artillery shells in a war with China. Internal Pentagon assessments show China vastly outnumbers the U.S. in its arsenal of almost all cruise and ballistic missiles. Both superpowers maintain a stockpile of 400 intercontinental ballistic missiles. So how bad is it with China, really? Well, before I dive in, just a quick break from my sponsor. As we wrap up 2025, it is a good time to slow down and reflect on the year. If there's one thing that we all learned, it's that uncertainty is not temporary. Unfortunately, it is the world in which we are living, and waiting for things to get back to normal isn't part of the plan. It's a gamble that you are taking. For over a decade, my friends at Noble Gold Investments have helped Americans protect themselves and the people that they love by diversifying their wealth with gold and silver. Look, no one really knows what 2026 will bring, but there is one thing that I can assure you, and that is we live in an uncertain world. Real wealth is not digital, and it's physical, it's lasting, and it's yours. So when you're sitting around the table this holiday season with your friends and family members and loved ones, remember the best gift that you can give isn't necessarily under the Christmas tree. It is the gift of a peace of mind. And that's what Noble Gold Investments delivers. They deliver a peace of mind 1 ounce at a time. And before the year ends, you can take one smart step toward an even safer future. In order to do that, I want to encourage you guys to visit lisahavengold.com. That's lisahavengold.com. Fill out the information you see on the screen here. Click email me my wealth kit, and they're going to send you a free wealth kit. On top of that, you can also give them a call at 1-877-646-5347 and let them know Lisa Haven sent you, because right now they are giving away up to 10 of these 1 ounce silver holiday coins that you see on the screen here, but it comes with any new and approved plan. So make sure you bring up my name. And by the way, there's always a risk to investing. There's never a guarantee. If you want more information, click that more button if you're on your cell phone, or click the link in the description box below. So how bad are things with China, really? Well, if you look at what our own congressional leaders have said about China, it might throw up some other alarms. Take a look at this, and this is on chinaselectcommittee.house.gov, just published May 2025 of this year. House Select Committee warns the window to deter war with China is closing fast. In a high-stakes hearing last week, the House Select Committee on China delivered an urgent message. The clock is ticking to stop a war in the Indo-Pacific, and this Congress may be America's last chance to do it. They go on and state that members and witnesses alike called for immediate action to build up allied land power, reinforce Taiwan's defenses, and harden the United States' cybersecurity infrastructure and accelerate our weapons deliveries. And you know what? I think we should be heeding their advice. Not only that, but a lot of people who attended the committee had their own statements to make. Here's one from retired General Charles Flynn, former head of the U.S. Army Pacific. Here's what he said. He said, the threat of an invasion is no longer distant or theoretical. You can't invade Taiwan unless you generate an invasion force. And that is what we must prevent. Flynn warned that the U.S. had overinvested in sea and air power while neglecting land-based forces that can actually deny the PLA its objective. The PLA does not fear our ships and aircraft. What it fears is a credible force that can counter its army before it ever reaches Taiwan. In other words, we've got this former head of the U.S. Army Pacific saying, hey, we're putting our money in the wrong place. And in order to help Taiwan against China, we need to start building up some of our defenses that can help in that land battle. A way to counter, right? Because the PLA does not focus on ships and aircrafts and all of that, specifically referencing China, obviously, there. So we have been getting warnings. Our military has been getting these warnings from Congress. And now we've got this warning that has been published. And what did they call it? They called it an overmatch brief that is warning, hey, if we do go to war with China, they are almost like one step ahead. They've got, hey, if the U.S. does this, we're going to do this. Well, if they do this, we're going to do this. They pretty much have something for everything we may or may not do. They have a counter for it. And we're running low on things like ammunitions. Hey, maybe we should stop giving some of our money over to Ukraine and Israel and just spreading our money like we're the world's gift to everyone. We cannot afford to do it. And obviously, war with China is something that could potentially be ahead. In fact, speaking of how dire things are internationally between the two, and this is just kind of going backwards a little bit so you can see where we are and why there is this briefing that was published. But this is on Defense Blog. Taiwan warns a potential 2027 Chinese invasion. I've talked about this on Restricted Republic. Taiwan has, for the first time, officially identified 2027 as a potential year for a Chinese invasion, highlighting growing concerns over tensions with Beijing. The Taiwanese Defense Ministry revealed the date in a document released on Tuesday, outlining upcoming war game simulations, a full-scale attack by the Chinese military. So they've been running some of these simulations in preparation for such a war. Now, Chinese President Xi Jinping has also set a 2027 as a key milestone for the People's Liberation Army, the PLA, seeking to transform it into a modern military by then and a world-class force by 2047. U.S. officials have reportedly warned that China is preparing to be militarily capable of invading Taiwan by 2027, citing Beijing's rapid expansion of its fighter aircraft, naval fleet, and missile arsenal since 2020. And they really are beefing things up fairly massively in China. Again, why we are giving away all our arsenal to countries like Ukraine. In fact, in the NDAA, they just passed billions of more dollars onto Ukraine while denying benefits, specifically the checks to the United States American citizens. So much for our Congress. It's like they don't give two craps. And it doesn't even matter if they're on the right or left. I'm getting so sick of this. They're all on the same side. But here's BBC. Hegseth has also put out his alerts and warning. And this was a warning back from May, but it's so much more critical today. But Hegseth warns that China poses an imminent threat to Taiwan and urges Asia to boost their defense. And he actually spoke at a Shangri-La dialogue in Singapore, and he characterized China as seeking to become a hegemonic power that hopes to dominate and control too many parts of Asia. They have clashed, China has clashed with several of their neighbors over competing territorial claims in the South China Sea. And he further expands and he says that China's building the military needed to do it. They're training for it every day and rehearsing for the real deal. You're not going to do that unless you're legitimately preparing for some kind of real legit war. And he goes on to state this, let me be clear. Any attempt by communist China to conquer Taiwan by force would result in devastating consequences for the Indo-Pacific and the world. There's no reason to sugarcoat this. The threat China poses is real and it could be imminent. We hope not, but certainly could be. The U.S. doesn't seek war with China, he added. We don't seek to dominate or strangle China or to encircle or provoke. We do not seek regime change, but we must ensure that China cannot dominate us or our allies and partners, he said, adding, we will not be pushed out of this critical region. So as you can see, tensions are flying and have been flying. And this briefing that got leaked out tells the real story that we are just not prepared for war with China. And that should scare the living daylights out of all of us. If our top officials are turning pale, we've got an awful lot that we need to say to that. But with all of that, for the rest of this video, I'm going to bring it over on Restricted Republic because I'm not only going to bring China into it, I'm going to bring Russia and Europe and everyone into this report. I really want to encourage you guys to check it out. So right now, get on over to restrictedrepublic.com. Sign up today to see the conclusion to this video report. I have to bring it off platform with regard to what I'm going to say because things could get wild on an international level. So get to restrictedrepublic.com, sign up today, and support what we do. But with that, I really hope to see you there. I love you all. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.